No.
No? Oh my gosh.
I
Okay.
do not.
So you just said, "You ready for this?" And that's like part of like a
Yeah.
voiceover for this video game that my boyfriend likes to play. And I hear it every now and then to the point where I mock him and then he gets all mad at me. He's like, "Stop mocking me." And I'm like, "But your video game says it all the time."
Yep.
So anyway, no comeback for that. No.
So there is no comeback for that. Yeah, I'm very much not the basketball video game player.
Oh, you know what's so funny? Because you're like, on Noonish, you're like the techie guy, and then
Right.
you've got Jonathan
You
and
think?
Mark, and they're the sport people. But Mark's all about how's Mark doing these days with the whole crypto thing? Mark, hi.
Um, he's good.
I'm sure he's fine.
Yeah, he's good. He's got it under control.
Yeah, no, it's been I haven't been following it all that much, so I just know.
There's
I mean,
there's
Elon's
not
still
much to
pushing
follow right
Dogecoin,
now.
right? He's still pushing it, right?
I don't know if he's really into it right now or not.
He better be. He pushed freaking so much. He better be supporting on its down. Just saying. Just
Yep.
saying. So, how have you been,
That's
sir? It's
that's
been a
that's
week.
a different podcast.
That's I'm
That's a
moving. I'm
different
like
that's a
moving
different
on,
show. Yeah.
moving on. So, yeah, we skipped last week, but you know what? It was a good week to skip because I was actually had a requirement or other event to attend to. So I appreciate it. So it's been 2 weeks since I've seen you, my friend. What's anything new?
I went to kickboxing last week during our break. So no, not really anything new, but just good times.
Hmm.
Keep rocking along. I've had some good
Okay.
conversations with some people. We'll mention them a little bit later when it comes time. But
Yeah.
a
No.
lot of fun stuff going on right now.
Right. So I've gotten a lot of like feedback lately about like let's just say uh, this whole conversation about chats among us is like such the I don't know how, for lack of a better description, it's like it's so timely because so chat gpt and GPT-4 and bard and all this stuff is coming out, and you got
Yep.
all these pundits now that are suddenly like experts in it, and I'm just sitting there going, how did you guys become gurus already? Because like,
Right.
you were just talking about like the last big thing. So
Yep.
I'm really glad that you're bringing on folks that can kind of add more color to it. So are you ready? Should we do this? Should we kick off the show, my friend?
Well, let's do it.
All right,
Let's
let's
do
do
it.
it.
I'm excited. Oh, me.
And we're back. Do you like
I'm
the
enjoying
song? I kind of liked
I'm
it.
enjoying it. Yeah, it's getting better all the time.
Well, I didn't want to go too punky because I was like, oh well, let's not be too rebel yells. This is LinkedIn still, so
Keep it pro.
keep it pro, keep it pro. Okay, so talk to me, my friend. Why are we so excited about today's guest?
So one of the things that I think has been really interesting with this is finding out how many professional high dollar news outlets have been using AIs, not even just recently, but for a while now, to either help or in some cases write everything. And
Yeah,
uh, and as I've been having more conversations with people about plagiarism and copyright and all that stuff, I was racking my brain to think how can we find somebody and bring somebody in who can talk about this. And I just happened to meet Peggy, who we will shortly be meeting at an event for supporting the Born to Be um, equine therapy, I guess is what you call that. Uh,
okay.
and found out that she was a real life reporter, which oddly enough is something I just don't have a lot of in my life, and also an author. And so I was like, you think you might want to spend some time with us talking about some fun stuff on
When we were
artificial
talking about with
intelligence and
this whole
journalism, and yeah.
yeah. Oh, it's such a
So
great perspective, and thank you for bringing this up because when we initially conceived about Chats Among Us, like, it wasn't like it was more of us just going, okay, great. Let's see how many people jump on this bandwagon. What's the
Right.
hype? Why is it so damn exciting for other people, etc. So, and that's where I think was really interesting because you said, no, I know other people that are part of that whole ecosystem that's going to be affected by in a lot of different ways. And
Right.
so getting a real journalist, not us streamer peoples, I mean, it's a kudos to you, Jonas, like straight up. So would you like to kind of give a background of our friend, please?
Yeah. So Peggy Hinkle-Wolfe. I hope I'm pronouncing and everything correctly since I've already been corrected twice. Uh, is a co-author of Between Now and Dreams. Uh, was a reporter for the Denton Record-Chronicle for 15 years, during which time she was covering the fracking controversy that was going on back in the 2000s. Big deal around here. And now still produces local news for KUZU, KUZU 92.9 FM, Denton's only nonprofit community radio station.
Nice. Oh, nonprofit. Good to know.
Yep.
Oh, I'm always so fascinated about that whole nonprofit business and industry. So, I say, without further ado, let us and
Let's
shall we
bring.
bring our lovely illustrious guest in? Hello. Yeah, no, Peggy. He did tell you I was a professional, right?
Yes, he did.
He warned you in
I
advance, did
didn't
he?
know that meant applause
Real
tracks,
thing.
but I told myself to be prepared for anything today. So
Got the full soundboard.
Well, welcome, Peggy. Thanks for joining us.
oh, thanks for inviting me. We'll have some fun here, I'm sure.
I don't know. Jonas is like, yeah, sure, I guess.
Well, so just quickly is Peggy, is there anything that you'd like to mention about Kuzu or the book or anything about your history that we might have missed that you'd like to
Oh,
bring up?
no, you got it.
Okay.
Why don't you start asking me questions and then no, let me say one thing about KUZU since it seemed to um, surprise you that KUZU was nonprofit.
Yeah.
KUZU's low power radio in the maybe 12, 15 years ago, they changed the laws to allow for low power stations. So the broadcast radius is 3 miles. So it's just Denton, and everybody there is a volunteer, and I'm a volunteer too. So I don't understand how this is going to work long term, but it's working. It's been working for the past 5 years for them, six, maybe seven now. And it's been working for about a year and a half for me doing the news. So there you go. Um, and then the book, I'm hoping that we worked really hard in that book to translate science, the science of human learning and human behavior for the lay reader. So I think I've got that talking about science for lay people thing kind of down. So let's see how I do today. I don't know.
No, love it, love it. So here, and everyone that's talking about the book that she is referring to, I really want to emphasize this because I'm just really impressed by you and just, I haven't had a chance to like really review it myself, so my apologies on here, Peggy. But so let's talk about Between Now and Dreams that you referenced. So it's a collaboration. You have a co-author with you.
Yes, she's the brilliance behind it all. Shala Alai Rosales is a professor of applied behavior analysis at the University of North Texas, and she is very well known for taking the science and using it in a way that captures the joy and compassion that should be part of your parenting. Um, Obviously, for when you're parenting a child with a disability, it can be pretty challenging. And a lot of us parents who have raised a kid with a disability, and that's how Jonas and I met. It was at Born to Be, which serves people in the community with disabilities. Um, it can be challenging, but it also can be incredibly rewarding. And if you know what science has to offer you and can apply it, you do just fine. And so that's what this book is about. You can do just fine.
Oh no, this is fascinating because I don't have children, but I definitely have family members that are in the autism community. So I actually am very interested to read it myself. So everyone please, I'm assuming it's available on Amazon.
It is.
Is that right? Okay. Everyone, I will add the link in just a second here. Or actually, it would be on your website as well, correct?
Yes, I have actually a whole resource page. I went ahead and bought the domain Between Now and Dreams to
Mm.
and redirected it to my personal website um, to to give people some other resources that they might be able to make use of. So some study questions. We even put together a template for a bookmark, which is a little job aid parents can use when they go into their special education planning meetings with the school district. So,
Very helpful. Oh my gosh. You know what? So a buddy of mine he's on a campaign. It's a child's book. It's for children. His son is now since grown, but it's a project that he and his son have worked together, which I think is a lovely series. And he's worked really hard to campaign to get the book into schools. I did not realize the whole book industry in that context. You basically have to give it to the schools. Is that the same way for adult-based books as well? For something like this as a resource?
oh goodness, i- i- I don't even want to go there.
Okay, no, that's
How to
cool.
sell a book?
Nope, 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 that's fine. It was just something like
That's a
that I just
different show,
related
Tia.
to.
Yeah.
I know. Look, I was in another meeting today, you guys, that someone goes, "Where's your brain today?" And I'm like, "I don't know." You know why? It's because I'm like, I've been working on a couple projects, and I'm actually launching another uh, podcast show for another client tomorrow morning, and so I'm a little like I think my brain's all over the place, which is probably what you don't want to do with someone like me. So my apologies, Peggy. Okay,
No,
so
that's okay. It's just I didn't wanna go there because trust me, you guys don't wanna go there. So
oh, it's such a well, if you want to, I do have my I can write a graphic here. So if you'd like to rant, we can. Jonas has his non sequitur moments, and then Sia has her Sia rant. Here we go moment. So Peggy, if you want one, you just let me know, and I'll
I
craft one
can't
up for you.
I can't split my brain like that. So I have to listen to you guys ask me questions and then formulate coherent responses. I can't rant at the same time. Good lord.
Well, you know why? It sounds like because you're a nice person. Okay. So I just want to give a couple shout outs
Could
for
be
some
that.
folks that are like watching us. And I do encourage everyone. I know it's our third episode, so we're still trying to get our feet and grounding on. And it is a limited series. So we're halfway there, apparently. We're like, oh, but it is, if you guys have any questions, okay, because I am very intrigued. Is it plagiarism, guys? So let's just get to the crux of it. And that's the title of our episode is, you know, well, first off, maybe before we do this, Peggy, what are
Mhm.
your thoughts on all these bots that are coming out, AI driven bots like ChatGPT and GPT-4, Bard, and all that stuff?
Um, Sounds like they could be really useful tools, and also could
Mm.
be used for evil. And that's like every other tool in this world. If you know what you intend to do with it, it'll probably help you do that thing. So um, I know that, for example, you guys were talking about um, some journalism outfits using materials and tools like this already. I mean, gosh, you could take a class in J school back in the day. I'm not going to say how long back in the day was for me. That was computer assisted reporting.
Mhm.
Um, and journalists, as a general rule, aren't known as numbers people. So when you have some number skills and you're in the newsroom, you y- y- all of a sudden there's people at your desk asking you to write the formula for percent change and stuff like that. So
Ooh,
for some
yeah.
reason, that was me. I was the one that was always writing the formulas for
Hmm.
folks, but it started with things like Excel and Access database
Mhm.
tools and things like that. Um, I've heard Bloomberg's going to put some AI machine learning type tools onto
Has
different,
done, yes.
yeah,
That's
business resources. I
there.
think as long as you're letting your readers know what the source of your material is, that you've taken care of it, I think. It kind of, I think it also depends on what you're putting it on. There is some computer assisted reporting, if you will, where they're very careful to be completely transparent about what data they scraped, how they scraped it, what formulas they applied to it. Um, a dear friend used to be with BuzzFeed, and he would
Mhm.
sometimes run his methodologies by a couple of social scientists to make sure what he was doing had some integrity. So
Right.
the degree to which journalists are going to be transparent with you about that, you're going to be okay. So now, if somebody's just using it to write stories, that feels a little plagiaristic. Where did you get your material?
Mhm.
You trained it on what?
Right. Well, let's talk about that because and we'll just instead of going through this in a nice orderly 1, 2, 3 kind of way, we'll just jump around and talk about whatever comes up.
That's kind of what we're already doing. So let's be transparent about that.
Right.
Oh, wait.
I have had a lot of conversations recently about this, including so a wonderful couple, John Porter and Kristen Tippett, that host the main event AI for content creators, which is an audio only LinkedIn deal on Fridays, which I had never even heard of before, but it's pretty awesome. Mary Baker, I think, is the one who turned me on to that. So thank you for that, Mary.
And she's in
But
the audience, by the way.
yep, they are creative people, artists and writers themselves. And Kristen was talking about creating art using AI tools. So this is obviously not copy; it's visual arts. But we were discussing whether at what point does it become yours? How much work do you have to put in for it to be yours? And we've never asked writers who used a typewriter instead of a pencil if the typewriter deserved some credit. We've never put writers who write things out longhand in a different category than writers who use word processors.
Mm.
So the question is, and I think Peggy, you use the word tool for this, and that's what I kind of think is like, at what point does it stop being a tool and start being something else? And if it becomes something else, what is that?
Well, it could be that we just have to figure out what the outer boundaries of all of that is. I think sometimes it's important to stop and remember what you're consuming and why in the first place.
Mhm.
So, I don't necessarily think of myself as a great consumer of uh, visual art, so I don't know that I could directly respond to your question by using visual art as an example. But I know that as a writer, um, I'll bristle quite a bit if
Mhm.
another outlet takes a story that was basically a story we conceived of.
Mhm.
Um, and I know in the academic world they'll bristle even more
Mhm.
because the idea is the thing.
Right.
But I also know, especially I learned this during the fracking days, is not no one person or one outlet can do it all. So if someone
Mhm.
takes the work you started and springboards off of it,
Mhm.
that's not plagiarism either. Um, But I think that journalism is we're asking journalists, we're asking a group of people with a certain amount of expertise to go out into the community and ask questions and um, sift through the answers, get the things that are most important, and then put them down on paper. I think once a journalist stops thinking about their work and just says, okay, I'm going to just ask and there's some stuff in a newspaper that I suppose if you could figure out how to train your bot to read sports scores and do some writing, that probably is fine. Maybe. I don't know.
If it's based on stats, I
Well,
mean,
if you're
like,
gonna
I
but
guess,
if you're gonna do stats, just do a chart.
yeah, no, and
They could have the
I
AI do
think,
the chart.
Yeah.
okay, so can I ask a very uber basic question with journalism? And I did not take journalism classes, which it sound like a lot of fun. Not really. I had a friend that was a journal major, and I'm like, journalist, and I was like, so and he's in cybersecurity. That's another question we can ask for another time. Why are there so many former journalists moving into cybersecurity? That's an interesting one. But anyway, so let me ask you this, Peggy, because um, I guess I don't understand, and you tell me if I'm just like out of crazy. Chat, I know you're going to answer that. Just whatever. Anyway, Peggy, ignore those people. Um, when you see like Associated Press, for example, right, and they do this like real quick write up, like 1 or 2 paragraph of something, right? It rained today, right? I see a lot of other outlets copying and pasting and taking that, and they will credit AP as a news source or whatever, but they create it as their own article and whatnot. Uh, I can imagine AP being the first source, like, to report something where they wanna, like, quickly just get some facts up and out, where I could see where they try to automate it, but there's no real details in that mix. I guess I'm wondering if that route is automated and they have an AI say, "Here's the stats. It was sunny, now it rained 6 inches. Hand that out. Like, can you make that into a quick article?" Is that considered firsthand accounting, or is that again, I guess I'm trying to figure out, like, because my understanding with journalism is like you have first person reporting, right? And then from there it could become secondary source, right? So I guess I'm worrying a little bit because I feel like I'm not making fun of Associated Press, but I'm just saying that's what I know them as. If they start off with using AI, is everything else AI, like, as a source? Like,
Mhm.
is it legitimate?
Um, well, I think the first thing that's important to know about Associated Press is a cooperation of newspapers and press outlets. So you might be the person, your newspaper, let's say a tornado goes through Denton, and the
Okay.
Denton Record-Chronicle is there, and we've got some first person stuff, and we've got it up. AP grabs it because we're a member of AP, and they put it out because everybody knows, oh my gosh, this horrible thing just happened in Denton, Texas. And it's okay because there's contracts and money has been exchanged and there's an understanding, and it's sharing that resource. I have a hard time imagining the editors at AP putting up while they might not credit an individual reporter, they're going to credit a newspaper.
Right.
And if
Okay.
if somebody's crediting AI, AP is going to credit AI. It's just way too new of a territory for most folks to not do that. Now, if somebody's deceptive about it, then we're all in trouble.
And that, I guess I'm a little worried about that potential of. Okay, so I have the saying, and I apologize, Joyce. You just jump in. I'm on a roll today. I don't
You
even know
are
if I'm
on a
making
roll.
any sense right now. Uh, I have this theory that I feel like humans in general are inherently lazy in the context of if they can get something done quicker, they'd rather do that than actually do the research needed or get the discipline done to do the grunt work themselves. Okay. So I'm wondering, I'm trying to find some benefits here, people. I'm trying to be optimistic on this and I'm not feeling it. So someone help me see the value of why this is so amazing, because I feel like before we realize it, it's going to take over. because we want it to be convenient for us. So I'm not seeing the good here. I'm just not.
Well,
So
as someone who's worked in the business for 20 years, I have a hard time seeing how it could work taking over. Let's take one of the easiest jobs in the newsroom. Maybe that would be clerking. A whole bunch of press releases come in, and your sole job is to like turn them into calendar entries or little
Mhm.
short 2-sentence things. Invariably, these press releases come in with missing information because journalism is a human endeavor based on other human endeavors. So you can't write it because they forgot to tell you what time the event was, or they forgot to tell you the the address of the place where it is, or they just assume, I don't know, you could infer this stuff from the ether or something like that.
Mhm.
So you might have to uh, and that's why being a clerk was a full-time job for somebody, because they were calling people and saying, we want to put
Right.
your information in the paper, but a bunch of stuff is missing. Now, on the other side of that, being a sometimes a lazy reporter, it's really actually very hard if you care about the work to be lazy, because it's a high wire act. You know that if you get something wrong, the phone's going to ring.
Mhm.
mhm.
And if you're the reporter with your name on it, you're going to get the call. If something else is wrong and they don't put someone's name on it, the editor knows they're going to get the call. So
Right.
I really think that I, I mean, there may be some churning type outlets that'll try to make it work, but the value of the information on those sites, I I mean, it won't be very good information. As soon as you know, I can't ever count on that website for the right phone number or the right date or the
Right.
right time, they're done. You can just burn people just so much with bad information, and then they walk out the door. I think,
Yeah.
I, I, but to put it on to have people using it as a tool, putting it on some things that you can digest faster. I used very crude machine learning tools to help me with open records requests that came back with
Mhm.
hundreds of pages. It's like, there, I'll still be working on this story next year if I have to read all this.
Right.
So, an OCR reader with some keyword
Mhm.
searches at least gets me a running start. Um, but it's still
There's a
a person
concept
doing the work.
you touched on this a little bit with you mentioned the kind of the lowest rung in the department as an example, and there's a concept called the Moravec paradox or the Moravec principle, which is in artificial intelligence, which basically states that the things that we think of, that we as humans think of as being the complicated things that no machine could ever do, are the things that we find out that, oh, well, actually, that's pretty easy for the machines to do. And the things that we just take for granted and don't even think about doing are the things that the machines have the most trouble doing. And I saw in the comments somebody mentioned food service and self help, and I don't remember exactly how they phrased it, but putting feelings and heart into things, and things that we don't really think about. We don't even necessarily notice them when they're there. We just notice them when they're not there. And I think
Mhm.
that's one of the things that I've noticed with trying to use AI to help me edit things is if the AI rewrites it too much, it goes stale, and it looks like it was designed by committee, written by a committee, and it just has no
Right.
soul anymore. And uh, I think that's where we're going to see that the things that we thought were easy turned out to not be so easy after all. It just so happens we're really good at them.
Well, I like that it makes us think about what we're doing, and we're not doing too many
Absolutely.
things on autopilot, and that we realize uh, I feel like I'm getting a little bit more in touch with my humanity. That could be because I'm getting really old. Um, maybe if I were confronting all of this in my 20s, I would have a different idea about it. But I've just seen enough things in the world change and kind of how they all fit in that I think eventually we'll figure it out. I hope we'll figure it out.
I guess I cannot help but keep going back on the one major thing that makes us humans is the fact that we have the ability, apparently not right now, to communicate at more complex levels and depth and meaning behind not just words and grunts and tones and all that, but actually the words have some power and impact and connotation beyond the word itself. You know what I mean? And I wonder, I see brands, and I can't remember who made that comment earlier. I have seen brands that are inclined to automate. They will send out bots. I see a huge increase in these conversational bots on DMs, that's sliding in my LinkedIn right now. And I
Slide
just
into
cannot help
DM.
but think, sliding in a DM, whoosh. How you doing? No, I see a lot of brands doing because think it's a cost cutting measure. Meaning, like, oh, I'm instead of having 15 sales reps, I'm gonna have one sales rep
Mhm.
because odds are, if it's a power of numbers, out of 100 calls, one person's gonna want to talk. Well, then why don't I have those bots talk to other 99 so that one person can focus on that one curated lead? Do you think AI is this whole bots is going to accelerate that? And as we as a culture going to say, okay,
So
I'm cool with that. So
hold
again, abbreviations.
hold that thought. Hold that thought, because I want to get Peggy's answer on this. But let me throw this out there, because this is a company that I actually worked with a little bit a couple of years ago, and I believe they actually do. I believe they actually do the helpline for like Blue Mercury and some other places that are known for high quality um, helplines. What they did was they don't replace people. They take the output from when you call in and you have a problem, and does it get solved, and does your if you're reporting that you're very satisfied with the outcome at the end of the call, very enthusiastic about it, they take the procedures and the text and everything from that call and feed it into this some kind of machine learning algorithm that then prompts everybody. So basically what they're trying to do is level everybody up to the level of whoever, what might be the same person, but it might just be one person handled it really well on that particular day. And so that's their thing, is to we're not replacing the people, we're just trying to give all the people the best tools to answer the questions in the best way possible all the time, which is, I think, it's a much better way of approaching the problem than to say, hey, let's see how many people we can get rid of.
Mm.
Passing the baton. Sorry.
You guys are too smart for me. I was sitting here thinking about this game I played with the kids. It was called 20 Questions, and
Yep.
it's the little egg, and you could do animal, vegetable, mineral with it,
Right.
and it would I mean, even you had to be dishonest to trick the computer. Um, but but I suppose there's a fair amount in our lives that you can just filter that way. And I don't mind. I don't mind if I'm referred to a frequently asked question document or some other, just so long as I can self-help a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But there are times when a person you need a person's help, and a bot just makes it worse. There've been times when I go, "Oh, I'm chatting with a bot," and you know
Mhm.
how to ask the question that tells you you're chatting with a bot, and then I just quit it. But I mean, can you imagine you've got some problem with the IRS or something, and you're chatting with a bot? Oh, good lord. I mean, some things we're doing are too high stakes, and they need the
Uh-huh.
other parts of human relationships to make it work. So, I hope AI helps us make that distinction. Um, I also wish life would get less complicated, but I know that's too much to wish for. So,
I don't know if we've invented a tool for that yet.
no, we haven't. But when we do,
No.
everybody's gonna. I do not want a smart fridge. I want a stupid fridge. All
Oh,
that kind of stuff. So,
I want a
from a
refrigerator
technology,
that keeps stuff cold and cleans itself.
that's what I want. Clean itself. Well, there was like back in the 50s, they thought by now we would be, watering like everything in our house would be water cleanable. So you just like spray the house down and you're like done and air dry it and you call it a day. That was like the big push back in the 50s, apparently.
Yeah.
But so I'm okay. So from a journalistic perspective, okay. So let's go back. And I know I had my question and we can move on for that for a second. And my background's in sales, Peggy. That's why I went immediately into that mode. So let me pull back here because if I am going to be doing research, if I'm a client, a prospect, and I'm looking at a company or I'm looking at news because I want to have a wonderful another chatty chat with my uncle and aunt about politics again because that's so much fun. I mean, we are a big group of demographics, right? You've got your silent generations that are still around. You've got the baby boomers. You've got Gen X. You've got
you're talking about
millennials,
people
Gen
like a
Zs.
salesperson, just FYI. Sorting people like a salesperson, but that's okay. Boomer here. So,
Gen X. So okay, so here's where I'm wondering: are we just at that cultural shift? Okay, where this is the new technology, where the Gen Zs and millennials, younger millennials, zillennials are more inclined to say, "Yeah, let's go for it. It's our future. Let's embrace it." And then you've got the other end of experienced folks. I'll just call it that did not grow up with that kind of technology natively. That there's a resistance to it, and that we see, we think we distrust everything, but yet at the same time, because we're not familiar of, oh, I don't know, The Onion, for example, where there's like certain individuals quoting from Onion articles and they don't understand like that's part of, you know, it's a satire, not a real journalistic site. Like, I guess I'm struggling with as everyone starts dying out, and you're shifting, are we gonna recognize that The Onion is a satire account? Like, are we because if we're gonna allow AI to create even those Onion, articles, right? Because it's humor, it's satire. I'm freaking out a little bit here because now I don't know what to trust.
well, I mean, I feel that way. I'm old and have all the clues from the old stuff too, and I still don't know what to trust. So you have to have the tools to do that sifting. You guys are making me think that there should have been another chapter in our book about how to trust. But we do in our book, in Between Now and Dreams, we do have a whole section in the middle. It's about connecting, and it's the qualities of human relationships that move things along. Now, if you're raising a kid with autism, you're already kind of hamstrung because they're coming into the world and connecting to the world in a very different way than you are. You're not going to be able to do the because I said so kind of child rearing that your parents did with you. So you've got to figure out, okay, how are we going to relate to each other? What's reciprocity going to be? What's a danger sign going to be? What's a um how are we going to defer to one another? How are we going to cajole one another when we need to? That's a whole different skill set. And I think evaluating information as well is a skill set. Um, I, I volunteer a couple hours a week in our public library. Those are some pretty nerdy people, but holy cow, do they know how to sift information?
Mhm.
Um, I think I think there's I think there's ways to get at that. I've heard I think I read a article recently that a school teacher decided to have their students prompt to chat GPT to write an essay and then
Mhm.
they all critiqued it together. I
Right.
mean, that's how you build that kind of resilience and skill is you just see how it works. I did that in journalism all the time. It's like, okay, well, I want to understand how this works. I'm going to just make myself be a guinea pig and we'll make it go. So, and then, yeah,
No, that's very
trust
interesting.
but verify. There, yeah, it is a little. It is a little bit like that, but honestly, if you got to verify, Robert, you probably don't trust. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So,
Well, yeah.
We can get Jordan
Look,
Solomon on here and talk about trust. That'd be a fun one.
so Robert is a auditor. And so I could see where automation in a lot of different ways is to catch some nuances and, things that don't look right and all that good stuff. I mean, I could see that being something efficient. Here's a freaking novella, so it'll cover my face here, guys. But
Yeah, I saw that one.
so Nicole replied back with, "What are the advantages of AI? Drives down the time to perform a task." Again, I think automation is great. I think I think we need to clarify automation versus artificial intelligence, right? Like I think there's we need to define exactly what that looks like, because you get automation from a business corporate perspective, which is I'm like all for. Take away those mundane data entry tasks and all that stuff that could be done 24/7, as Nicole's novella here is articulating. But artificial intelligence, again, machine learning and anticipating and gathering data for that purpose, it makes me think we got to make sure we help educate the difference between that automation and Skynet, right? Because it's a big ass jump between the two.
I think it's also important to know what people call stuff and the meaning we give it. Wow, I don't know. That came out so incoherent. But
Well,
I was
let me
thinking
give an
about,
example that maybe can help illustrate that, and how differently we perceive things based on. My wife is, as you both know, and she will use the word bizarre a lot, which sometimes strikes me, especially when she says it about me, strikes me the wrong way, because when I say bizarre, and when you probably would say bizarre, it has a bit of a negative connotation.
Mm-hmm.
In France, the same word, literally the same word, bizarre, but it just means, oh, that's a little weird,
Yeah,
which is
unusual.
which is totally fine. I mean, if somebody says I'm a little unusual, I'll say, yeah, you're quite right, probably more than a little. But the fact that we have a different perspective on what that word means and where it should be used and what it should be applied to can make a huge difference in how the same statement is perceived. Is that kind of where you were going?
well, I love what you said. Where I was going was,
Totally
I
different.
was going back to grad school with one of my journalism professors on qualitative research, and she talked about she had done some linguistic work, and she had talked about how sometimes we can put some phrases and descriptions together and they take on a life of their own. And at the time in that class, she was on a tear about this best-selling book called Starter Marriage. And it was it was
Nice.
basically the girls, the authors, I say the girl, that was kind of disrespectful, but it was the author's part memoir and part social exploration. And she was describing something that was not a phenomenon. It was not, but it happened to her. She got married and it lasted less than 6 months, and it was mostly about the wedding, and they didn't have kids, and so they divorced, and it was a starter marriage for her. But there was no social phenomenon called starter marriage.
Right.
But it can also be a little more difficult. So there's another phrase you hear out there quite a bit called memory care for nursing homes and assisted living. I didn't know it didn't have meaning until I worked on a story for the newspaper about a fellow in town who had um, a particularly nasty progressive mental illness. And there were some folks trying to get a placement for him, and it was turning out to be very difficult because nursing homes could turn him down at the beginning because they knew with what this man's diagnosis was that it was going to be brutal at the end. And I called the ombudsman down at the Texas Department of Health and Human Services to say, help me understand this a little bit better. And she was the one who educated me that memory care is a marketing term. It's not a description of the care that you get. And then she told me what a certified facility, what happened and how few there were and how expensive they were, that sort of thing. So, so artificial intelligence is a marketing term.
Yep, I would agree.
And I think
Absolutely.
it's really important for people to not imbue additional meaning into artificial intelligence. So I can see that I have my lighting in my room has changed. The sun,
I love
the
it.
sun is
I
going
love it.
down.
No,
It's
I'm like the robots are coming after you,
yeah,
girl. They're
I
coming
think
after you.
so. I can't wait for the laser thing to be trained right on my forehead here. I'll see if I can fix this. Okay, I'm gonna.
Oh no, you're fine. You actually, I think I loved it. It looked fine. So, if I may, okay, bringing up Nicole's novella again. Do you want to know how this was not written by a humanoid, but it was something that she got out of Google? It was because that third sentence, AI enables the execution of hitherto complex task. Who the hell uses he how do you even pronounce it correctly? Hitherto?
I do that
That's so bizarre.
every day.
How bizarre. How bizarre. Okay, sorry, I couldn't resist. And by the way, the chat, we were kind of having our own little dance party on the side there, so sorry about that.
Yeah. All that.
I mean, okay. Okay, so this was okay. Mary Baker brings up a point, which I thought was good. Okay, but again, I guess I'm thinking in the context of journalism, which is the scope of our conversation for today. But I can see the tools again. If it's a tool that helps the humanity lead a better, more comfortable life, absolutely, AI can use a camera, scans it, tells a blind person, what's in there. Ideally is what the expiration dates are and all that good stuff too, right?
Now that's a smart fridge.
There you go.
And I think that's the thing to remember with all of this stuff is that there are very valid and very life affirming, let's say, very very human affirming things that we can use these tools for if we use it as a tool and we use it positively. I mean, I think that's really the killer for us is, and my concern with it is that anytime we have a powerful tool, there's somebody who's going to want to use it for nefarious purposes.
Or somebody who thinks they're doing good and
Right.
really screws it up.
Right. Yeah, that's one of the worst things that can happen is somebody who thinks they know better than everybody else get hold of a powerful tool.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So Mary Baker is not a bot, but apparently she's trying to be today.
Do you usually sing at the end of the podcast?
Well, I have a tendency to sing, period. Like I'll get a phrase and it just pops in my head and then I have to sing it. It's like Tourette's. Like my boyfriend calls it, like he's like, you have like a singing Tourette's. Like it's completely inappropriate. We could talk about funeral rites and all of a sudden I'll start singing like, some random song if someone mentions like, I don't know. I'm not even gonna go there.
Are we sure you're not an AI? It sounds like the kind of thing that an AI would do. Just randomly start singing something inappropriate.
Okay. My lullabies. Can I just tell you? No. Maybe. Okay.
Lullabies are the original love songs. They really are when you think about it. They're
exactly. Oh my gosh. Okay. So okay, now we're going. Now I wonder if our entire chat are bots because now they're just like going down the singing, like sing 'em if you got 'em, Mary, Mary. I mean, come on. Do we need to come up with a parody theme song?
I would
Hey, you know what's
say
funny?
if you are interested enough to be watching this at a later time, you're really missing out by not getting the comments. I kind of feel a little
Okay,
bit
so
left out because I can't participate in the comments until afterwards.
oh, well, you could read it up and see it, like, okay, anyway, so, okay, so we are getting, like, up and close on time here, and I
We
just
are.
wanna be respectful. So, Peggy, like, I mean, what is your assessment? I'm a bit of a pessimist, so I feel like, again, we're lazy asses, and we're just gonna be like, if I can get paid my money and not have to work as many hours, I'm gonna ride that wave, and then before you know it, we're gonna crash and burn. Am I being overly dramatic? What is your perspective?
Well, I haven't messed with it, so I haven't made myself a guinea pig and gone to try to pass the bar or anything like that. So, but um, if it goes the way other things have gone, some really interesting things are going to happen, and then some questionable things are going to happen, and then there's going to be some court cases that are going to test the boundaries, and then we'll kind of figure it out. And you just hope you're not the person that is on the
Mhm.
wrong end of one of those tests, because that usually means a fair amount of pain and suffering. So that's kind of a big 360 view, but it does seem like the pattern of how we bring technology in. And then if it's like, chemists who just kept unleashing all kinds of things, and then
Mhm.
I don't know, 20, 40 years ago, they realized they needed to have an ethics um, setup that says, you need to develop your materials with an eye towards how they're going to persist in the environment. So I think the tech sector is really ripe for some serious ethical discussions, because they're starting to develop materials that they're just experimenting on the general population. I'm thinking
Yeah.
about assisted,
It's
autonomous vehicles. I mean, come on, people can die from
Well,
that, and
it
are
was
dying from that sort of.
BASF. I think that BASF had the slogan at one time, "Better living through chemistry," that they have since backed off of.
Yeah,
Um, but I
yeah,
think we're kind of living in a world of better living through technology,
yeah. And
and
there's
yeah,
not
maybe
a
there's some
whole lot of thought. I mean,
right,
it goes back to that idea of move fast and break things. It's like, okay,
right,
we're done now with move
right.
fast and break things. Let's try to
Let's
think
be
about.
careful what we break.
Yeah, let's think about what we could break. So I think that that letter that went out with the many signatures for folks saying, slow down, don't do anymore, was probably more in their self-interest. They they
Mhm.
want time to develop their destructive material, but
Look like it.
yeah, but it's time for those folks to start having some really deep down ethical discussions about what they're developing and what they intend to use it for, and how they're going to deploy it, and what kind of boundaries they're going to put on it, before they start experimenting on the general population.
Right.
better than me. I'm just kidding. No, I'm kidding. Well, okay. So, Jonas, what are your thoughts, man? After, I mean, just think of this from a journalism perspective and integrity of reporting.
Well, yeah. I mean, when we were talking, creativity to some extent as well. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I think Peggy's got it a nail on the head. Really, is as long as you're using the tool as a tool, having some skepticism as to the things that it's telling you, and being transparent about uh, what and how you're using the different tools, then I think you're okay. It's when you start breaking those sort of cardinal rules of things that I'm trusting the tool too much. We've already seen that. Not being transparent that you're of what you're doing and how you're doing it. If we haven't seen that, we soon will. And Yeah, I mean, I think that's it.
Well, on my final thoughts are this, because I think it's hilarious. And so thank you, Mary, for saying that this is Debbie Hansen. So Debbie, it's like, oh, it's so big and long that they couldn't even like put it in the chat window. So basically, she asked ChatGPT to compose a song for me with my name in it. And on that note, which is freaking hilarious, because funny you guys should mention that, everyone. Oh, Randy House, I didn't have a chance to say hi, my friend. And yes, hi, Sia, Randy. But this is a very good question too. Is that this is just a total aside. Are there any more investigative reporters left, or are they all paid by the corporate powerhouses that own all of our news conglomerates today?
That's sad, and hard to answer. It seems like some of the best work right now is coming out of ProPublica. But yeah, we're the the business is in a lot of trouble, and y'all should be worried about it. You really should. The work that I
Yeah.
do at the radio station, I wouldn't nearly call it investigative, especially compared to the work that I used to do at the paper. But there's no resources for me to do it.
That's crazy. That's to me, that's the. I mean, I don't want to leave shows on down notes, but that's like a mic drop, like
It is.
like as Randy says,
I was
bingo.
really hoping
right?
you would ignore that comment. But there
Okay,
we go. It was
here,
a really good question, and we had to answer it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
But okay, so I'm gonna try to guess. Okay, I'm gonna cheer us all up. Okay, so if you want to play, and if you haven't played with ChatGPT yet, by all means, have fun. But I will say this: I saw this on Facebook. This guy here in Dallas area that is a great guy, very he puts himself up and out there a lot, and it's his goal. He wants to be a TEDx like speaker person and all that good stuff, right? And so he entered his name of like write or who is, and it puts his name down, or write something about, and he put his name down. And then he goes, you guys check out what ChatGPT wrote for me. Who knows, maybe they'll write your bio for you, right? And I'm going, you know what, I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna play that game. I'm good. I hate writing my bio. I suck at it. I can't help but write it sarcastically a little bit, because I'm like, oh, I'm writing about myself. I'm amazing, So I thought I would share this with you guys because it's funny as all get out. If anyone ever thinks that their ego is bigger than anything or whatnot, I highly recommend to do ChatGPT, because I feel like here, I don't know if you guys can read that or not, but at the very top it says, write about Sia Yasso Tornrat. And its reply, I'm sorry, but I couldn't find any information about Sia Yasso Tornrat. Can you provide some detail or context about who they are? This would allow me to provide a more accurate response. So I was like, So I said, who is Sia Yasso Tornrat? I apologize, but I still don't know. I still don't have any information about a person named Sia Yasso Tornrat. It's possible that the name is misspelled, or that this person is not well known. Without more information, I am afraid I cannot provide any I can't even read something. Further details about this individual. So then, because I'm me, why don't you like Sia Yasso Tornrat?
Have no personal feelings.
And then hey, no ego or anything, right? As an AI language model, I do not have personal feelings or opinions towards any individuals, including Sia Yasso Tornrat. My role is to provide neutral and unbiased reports based on the information and context provided to me. It's important to remember that I am not capable of forming preferences or biases. And I am like laughing my off, because as a content creator, as that I put a lot of stuff and I hashtag and I add myself, it cracks me up that I did not come up.
Right.
So anyone that just thinks though too that ChatGPT is like the big brother and they're gonna come and get you. I just want to go on record. If you ever want to burst your own bubble, go ahead and go on ChatGPT and realize you're nothing. You're nothing. I am nothing.
Yep, that'll cure your ego problems real quick.
Oh gosh. Okay, so you got some laughters here. So Raquel Flores, as I remember. Oh wait, nope, wrong one. Oh, because everyone's commenting, it moved it up. Okay, hold on. Uh-oh. Oh wow, it just really moved up. Okay. Okay, she says you make her smile. I don't know why I just lost it. Oh my gosh. Okay, there we go. No, that's Peggy's cracking me up. There we go.
Well, it was pretty damn funny. Oops. Hit the dump button. Hit the dump button.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine. I'm the one that swore all you're fine. So anyway, well, on that note, guys, I think it is a great opportunity to wrap up here. So Jonas, you want to have any parting thoughts as we want to bid adieu to our wonderful guest, Peggy? Miss Peggy?
No, I will definitely would like to say thank you to Peggy. We appreciate you coming out and are showing up virtually, whatever we say these days. You've been great, and looking forward to doing this again. Hopefully, we're going to do something about government. We're talking about doing something about education. I think there's a whole lot more great things we can talk about with this as the situation develops.
Awesome. And Miss Peggy, one final thought for us, darling.
Let's go have dinner, everybody.
Let's go have dinner. That is wisdom.
Alrighty.
So excellent. Okay, on that note, then everyone, thank you so very much for another episode of Chats Among Us. And if you guys have any further questions, by all means, please just slide into our DMs, or if you guys want to just comment further in Team Replay, #Team Replay. It is playing under the Brilliant Bee Media YouTube channel or my personal profile right now, because this is intended to be a limited series. I didn't go full blown and create everything. Unless, of course, we want to continue that on. That just all depends on our availability and our desire, me and Jonas, to keep going on this. Hey, well, because I'm a nothing apparently. So maybe you know what? I'm wondering if it out of spite, they're like, oh, she's doing a live stream talking about us. We're gonna make her nothing. You are nothing to us.
Yeah, if you talk about the AI, you get downvoted. You get voted off that one.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, I think
it was fun. This was fun. Thank you guys. Thanks for inviting me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, you guys. And so join us next week. We're going to have another little episode of Chats Among Us. See you guys.